What's up, IGN? Joshua here with Eric Goldman to talk about the 10 best Wolverine fights from the comic books.
Yes, indeed. Lots of great Logan battles here.
And the reason we're doing this is because this September, at the end of September, Wolverine's going to die in a comic book called The Death of Wolverine. And yeah, we know he's going to come back. Be quiet. But we want to, as in tribute to him, we want to reflect on some of his best fights, and we hope to see him go out in a blaze of glory as well.
Yeah.
Maybe next time we do this list, he'll have a new fight to add to it. But let's dive right in. Well, actually, first, I'm going to do an honorable mention: Wolverine versus Magneto.
Yeah, that's an interesting one because this definitely didn't end so well for Wolverine. We mostly remember this fight for how it concluded.
Yeah. What happened was that the X-Men were like, oh, go distract Magneto. So he goes and he challenges him to a fight, and he actually gets a good stick in there, and he slices his side. But Magneto's like, you know what? No more. And he rips the adamantium out of his body, and it's like jutting out, and it's like super painful, immobilizing Wolverine. So it's really just like, Wolverine gets him once, and Magneto gets him once, and then it was over. So it's not really a fight, but it's very iconic because that's the first time that happened.
It's an iconic confrontation, and hey, he did survive it. It does show that this guy can survive a lot.
The funniest part is that Jean Grey is just like lifts up Logan's like lifeless body, still with the metal like jutting out of it, and just carries them away.
Yeah, you know.
Telekinesis. What else are you gonna do? Next one is Wolverine versus the Red Skull in Old Man Logan's storyline. And for those who don't know, this is sort of a what if sort of future, where all the heroes are gone. Red Skull is pretty much like the president. Like, he runs the world pretty much, or at least the big chunk of the United States. And he's got this big trophy room full of, relics from dead heroes. Yeah. And Wolverine fights him, but Wolverine is like a pacifist now, and he won't pop his claws.
Right. But he's still not against using some certain weapons,
like,
say, a certain shield.
Yeah, so he gets Cap's shield, and he fights Red Skull. It's really cool back and forth they have, and then he decapitates, he does a move Captain America himself used on Baron Blood, and he decapitates him with the shield. Also, I'd like to mention that the Red Skull is dressed in a Captain America costume. So it's all very disturbing. Yeah. He's wearing the mask. So it's like covered in Cap's blood.
Yeah.
We saw a flashback when he actually killed him. Yeah, which is really weird and creepy, but he got what he deserved.
He did.
And then just to exclamation point on top of it, Wolverine puts on Iron Man's armor, blasts the Red Skull's goon, and then flies back home. So it's pretty cool. Another one is Wolverine versus Daken, his son. Yeah. Which is super sad, because during the fight, there's like flashes of like the life that could have been. Right. And like Wolverine and with like little boy Daken and like a wife, and like a happy family, as he's like drowning his son in like a puddle, which is an interesting way to kill someone with a healing factor.
Yeah, I believe this is also the one though where his son gets in one pretty good swipe with that third underclaw and kind of tears away part of Wolverine's face.
Yeah, as Wolverine's having these nice flashes of his family, half his face is come off.
Yeah, and like you said, it's like a big personal battle because father and son.
It's a lot of heart in that one. Another one we have is Wolverine versus the Hellfire Club.
This is a big personal favorite of mine. It's also the earliest on this list. It happened in comic books earliest, and I think that's a big thing about it is we'd seen Wolverine, he'd been pretty cool. This was the first time I feel in comic book history they really showed him just unleash, is him in the sewers. These Hellfire Club soldiers are after him, and they quickly regret that decision as he just decimates them.
Yeah, because Wolverine was like in the sewer, and they're like, is there a leaky pipe? And they look up, and it's Wolverine dripping in sewer water, and he's like, and he gets them, and he's like up in the rafters. So cool. But my favorite part is the very end of the fight, where he's taking out all of them in a pretty hardcore, like awesome way. But then the last guy, he's just like, you know what I'm gonna do to you if you don't surrender right now? And the guy's like, oh, and he like drops his gun and gives up. So. And Wolverine threatens to kill him again if he doesn't tell him where the X-Men are, which is really funny.
But then a bunch of those guys come back as cyborgs because comics.
Yeah, comics. And the next one we have is Wolverine versus Lady Deathstrike.
Yeah, this is, she'd been an established character, but this is the first time she got the claws and really came back as this sort of powerful presence of her own.
This like nasty cybernetic creature. She wanted to be just like Wolverine to kill him, because her father's, she wanted to like...
She felt the adamantium had been stolen.
Yeah, it was this whole thing. But they were pretty evenly matched, and they were really just like slicing into each other. And it was really intense. It's funny that Wolverine's almost naked during this entire fight out in like the winter.
It's a blizzard in New York, and Katie Power from Power Pack is there. There's a lot going on. And it's Barry Windsor Smith was the artist, who I really like his art. It's very sort of trippy and surreal, which adds to the whole trippiness of the fight.
Another one is Wolverine versus Shinjin Yoshida from the classic like Frank Miller Wolverine story.
Yeah.
And they have two fights. The first one, Wolverine's trying to like win the honor of like this woman, and so she doesn't have to marry this guy she doesn't want to marry.
Yeah.
And they have just a practice duel with wooden swords. But Wolverine got poisoned, so Yoshida cheated. And the funny part being that this like, and he's used, by the way, Yoshida's using like this deadly technique and is like hitting nerve points, and Wolverine's poisoned. So Wolverine's like, this guy's cheating, so he pops his claws, but to the other people watching and that woman, it looks
dishonorable.
Yes, it looks like, oh, you're dishonoring, you're cheating, you're using your claws. But he's like, but he's cheating.
Right. I hope you said it in that voice.
So, but then they have like another fight at the end of the book, which is really cool. And he, real swords this time.
Yeah.
Actually, Wolverine's using his claws, and the guy holds his own. He's just like a normal guy. He's like a samurai master, and he stabs Wolverine and like cuts him a couple times. But eventually, Wolverine just like throws a punch right in front of his face, and then pops the claws, and he's dead.
It's a great fight, another personal stake because the woman he loves. And, The Wolverine, the movie, really good movie, but like a lot of people, I thought the last 20 minutes kind of went a little off the rails because it got suddenly bigger. And it's based on that comic book. I'm like, you could have just kept that battle.
Yeah.
Don't do the robot samurai thing. Oh, well.
Yeah. Next one we have is Wolverine versus Omega Red.
Yeah.
And this one's notable because they fought for over 18 hours.
They did. I mean, it's funny because we are told that. We kind of go away and then we come back, and some observers of this battle talk about the fact that it's been like 17 hours and something minutes that these two guys have been fighting. So I guess a testament to both of them.
Yeah, which is super cool.
That's a very long fight.
We do see like a snippet of the fight, and drawn in like glorious detail by Jim Lee back when he was in his prime doing the X-Men. But yeah, that was really cool. And another one is Wolverine versus Sabretooth, of course, his iconic nemesis. And this is one like sort of back in the day when we're both still getting to know these characters.
Yeah.
And you saw just how strong and fast and dangerous like Sabretooth was.
Yeah, this is when they really took Sabretooth. It'd been kind of this B or C level villain from Iron Fist, and we're like, hey, not only is he going to fight Wolverine, we're going to allude they have a history and that they can really go toe to toe with each other. And there was a lot of very cool, like, what's the story on these two guys?
Yeah, it was really cool. And this is the one that went all through, I think it was the X Mansion they were fighting in, and it went like through the window and through like a wall, and it's like I think a swimming pool, and it was a ridiculous fight. And but yeah, it was really, really cool. Definitely a lot of fun to read. This next one's by Mark Millar.
Yeah.
Wolverine versus the Gorgon, who is this like super strong, like dangerous guy who can, like a Gorgon, like a real, well, not a real Gorgon,
right.
but a Gorgon can like look at something and turn it to stone.
Yeah.
So they have this crazy fight, and he's like cutting him to death. And he actually kills Wolverine because he's overwhelms the healing factor with all these like sword strikes, kills him. Brings Wolverine back as like this undead minion. Wolverine, of course, gets his mind back and fights him again.
Right.
And that time, it's a crazy fight. But at the last second, Gorgon tries to use the stone beam on him, and Wolverine reflects it with his claws and turns that guy into stone and then breaks it. So.
Yeah, and it was really satisfying too because that was the end of the Enemy of the State storyline where Gorgon had made Wolverine do all these horrible things, kill a lot of good people, even some characters we knew.
North Star.
But he came back. He came back.
He did.
He got better.
But yeah, that was an epic fight. Really cool. That's number 2 on our list. Number 1 is Wolverine versus the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, which we kind of give you a teaser here where there's a spoiler this whole time, which was a rematch, because Wolverine first appeared in Incredible Hulk, and there was that history there, and this was like the first big, since then they fought a few other times, but this was like the first time I think that they fought since that first appearance, and it was the Gray Hulk, who was kind of this more vicious, sort of nastier character, and it was really,
and he had his mind about him. He wasn't like mindless. Yeah.
Right, and it was really the two of them unleashing on each other. We joked about how a lot of these fights are Wolverine trying to find the peace within, and then it comes out in the fight he can't hold back the animal, and this was a great example of that.
Yeah, and there's this really awesome, you tell it better than I do, but the coolest moment of it is, go ahead.
Well, it's funny because it's a great Hulk moment, but it's still part of the whole battle, which was that Wolverine at some point basically almost like guts the Hulk, and it's the Gray Hulk who has green blood, and they cover him in green blood, and he stabs him through, and and basically the inference is that he's almost like cutting out his guts. Hulk comes collapses, but then shocks Wolverine by standing up and saying, let's try that again. But the fact is that that's when Wolverine really loses it even more, and the two of them are just going to their most animalistic place.
Yeah, yeah. And again, you just hinted at it there, but Wolverine in most of these fights is like, oh, I don't want to become this. You're making me become this animal I don't want to be anymore. And that was a big part of this fight, because Wolverine actually walked away from it.
He tried to.
But Hulk was like, nope, we're gonna brawl. And it was actually one of the best fights. You could see the whole thing front to back. They do get interrupted at the end and they can't finish, so there's not like a clear winner.
No.
But it was, as far as just watching Wolverine unleash and the Hulk unleash having an awesome fight, that's where to go.
I agree with that choice.
Super cool.
Yeah.
So those are our 10 best Wolverine fights. Let us know your favorite in the comments. And for all things Wolverine, keep it locked to IGN.